Do you think the Canadiens will make the playoffs?
How about this? I'll give it an honest, I don't know. I would like to say yes and back it up with this theory that they're playing, okay, this many good teams or this many teams that they've had an easy time with this year. None of us know, but that's the fun part. I mean, it's right there. It's that close. It could go either way. So it's going to be pressure-packed from now until the end of the regular season. And I think that's great. I mean, last year, it seemed the season was over in November. So now that we're going to have just thrilling games, it's almost like the games get tougher as they go. The last four, I know Tampa, Washington, and the Leafs are the last three. The Jets are in there too.
Jets are in there, yeah.
So I'm just going to go with an old-fashioned sit on the fence. I don't know.
It's flip a coin at this point. I'm going to say they will because of Carey Price. I think the game against Detroit, Jacques Plante's record, I think it's going to give him an extra fire, an extra boost. I mean, he was spectacular against the Red Wings. And Pittsburgh's going to get in. I mean, Pittsburgh is now Sidney Crosby's basically going to carry them into the playoffs. The Canadiens need Carey Price to do the same thing. Columbus and Carolina. Columbus seems, I think they maybe made too much change at the deadline and maybe it disrupted their locker room a bit. They seem to be, they almost blew the game against Boston the other night. So I think they're going to get in. I think they will get in, but no, I bet maybe $5 on it. That's it.
I think if the Canadiens are still fighting for, or at least behind the 8 ball by that last 4-game stretch, then I'll say no. Because that will tell me by then that, yes, maybe also the teams behind them or in front of them are doing really well, but that'll also tell me that the Canadiens probably dropped some points against teams that they should be beating. In this stretch coming up here, they've got some teams that are not in the playoff picture like Buffalo and Florida that they have to beat at this point, and they have to pick up points. If they do that in that stretch and even steal a couple wins against teams like the New York Islanders who are doing really well this year, then I have much more confidence in the Canadiens going forward in that last stretch of games before the end of the year. If they still have to fight for it and they're still behind the 8 ball by then absolutely not. They're not making it.
If they don't make it, that loss to the Devils and the loss to the Panthers are going to haunt them all offseason and starting Anthony Niemi in San Jose.
And that awful power play.
Yes. That awful
doom them. There's at least like 20-something points that they've dropped against teams that have losing records or at least not in the playoff picture. Yeah. They can. I mean, we raved about how well the Canadiens have been playing all year and how they've surprised everybody. They've still dropped a lot of points on the table to this point in the year, and they could have easily been a lot better than they are right now. So there's a lot of games they'll be able to look back on if they don't make the playoffs and say, hey, you know what? Maybe we should have gotten those 2 points here. We should have gotten them there. A lot of hindsight.
But you write down that power play at 12%.
It's terrible.
Even if it had been 18%, 20%, like if they had ranked like 15th in the NHL on the power play,
it's better.
How many more points would they have? Those 1-goal games that they lost.
What did I see? It's the 23rd worst in the history of the league since they started keeping track back in 1977-78.
But you can't say that this team hasn't been trying. That's been the MO of the team. So I don't think it's like, they can look back if they don't make it and think, if only we would have got 1 or 2 more games, or if we worked on our power play. They just don't seem to know what to do on the power play.
But if they miss the playoffs,
I don't think it's a question of heart or effort.
They need to have a management meeting after the season and figure out why. Is it coaching? Like this can't happen again with this power play.
But do you think maybe because they're such a young team, they've already exceeded everyone's expectations at this point?
The talent's there, and I think at some point you got to point the finger at the coaching staff, and it's not working. Like they got this. They cannot have this power play be like this again next season.
Well, like you, I would bet $5 on them making the playoffs. No more.
You guys are high rollers.
Yeah, well, I'm not much of a gambler. But I think if they don't make the playoffs, I think the team will be better next year just because they'll be older and they'll have more experience. And I don't think you could fault them for giving an A+ effort pretty much throughout the whole season.
They definitely tried, but, if there were points on the table that they couldn't get, and at the end of the day, if you don't win, you don't win.
Okay. Go to hockeyinsideout.com now and check out this week's full episode.